Welcome back and happy holidays. Today we're celebrating people who have expanded the definition of family. Tia Wimbush and Susan Ellis had been co-workers at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Now, they didn't know each other that well until they found out they had something in common. Their husbands both had end-stage kidney disease and needed transplants. What happened next is truly remarkable.
Susan and I had worked together probably 5 or 6 years in the same department.
Tia and I overlapped in many of our projects and work efforts, but didn't work closely on the same teams.
In October of 2019, I learned that Susan and I had a shared experience. My husband, Rodney, was in kidney failure. I learned that her husband was also in kidney failure and had started dialysis again.
And it was instantaneous connection. We bonded over a lot of things. We have these very Southern, hardworking fellows as husbands. And so there was a lot of similarities in their work ethic and their faith.
One day, Susan and I came across each other in the restroom, and she and I started talking about the transplant and donor process, and Susan shared with me that she and Lance were not a match. I immediately asked her, well, what's Lance's blood type? And she told me that it was O negative, and I'm O positive, and immediately followed up by asking her, well, what's your blood type? And she said it was A, and I instantly connected the dots, knowing that all of our blood types could potentially be matches for the other.
After the conversation with Tia in the restroom, I felt cautiously optimistic and very hopeful. I have faith that everything happens for a reason. It's not that I believe in it, I know it.
Oh my goodness, Cam fam, please welcome Tia Wimbush. Her husband Rodney joins me as well. And Susan Ellis and her husband Lance join us from their home in Georgia. Welcome all. Back in March, Tia donated a kidney to Susan's husband Lance, and Susan gave a kidney to Tia's husband Rodney. Rodney and Lance. Goodness, I'm really already emotional in this because this is absolutely incredible. Your faces, you both being here virtually and in person, it's clear that things worked out or are working out.
Yes, they are.
Yes,
Tia, take me back to that bathroom conversation. Usually in the bathroom, we're like, oh, that's a pretty lipstick. What mascara are you wearing? That it elevated and escalated to something so important. Take me back to that time.
Sure. And Susan and I had been talking for weeks, months even, when our husbands first went into kidney failure. And at that particular day in the restroom, we had gotten to a point in his process where I was ready to be tested to be a donor. So I was really checking in with Susan to see what her donor process was like and to get some feedback from her. And that's when I discovered that she and Lance were not a match.
Wow. Susan, there's so many, and I don't use this loosely, there's so many miraculous things about this story. I know that there were times over the years that you had considered leaving your job and trying something new, but you ended up staying at that job. It's as if you were meant to stay in that job.
I think there's a lot of things that we look back on and we might have called them in the moment missed opportunities. I was looking at maybe bridging out a consulting work, and that didn't pan out. And it didn't pan out for a reason. I think God had a bigger plan, and a number of other things that kind of were missed opportunities. We had an opportunity that was presented to donate at another paired kidney exchange, and that fell through because of COVID. And we were heartbroken in that moment, but God had a bigger plan and it fell through so we could loop in Tia and Rodney in our story. And so that's what's really lovely about it.
I love it. So Rodney, doctors eventually learned the four of you were perfect matches for each other, and you all had operations on the same day. You also recovered on the same floor of the hospital.
Yes.
Were y'all tired of looking at each other at this
point? No.
It was just the pain from it, but I was excited. I mean, it's just I always appreciate my wife and Susan.
Did you recognize this circle of love that was forming?
Yes, definitely. I mean, you could feel that even before we got to this operating table. You know, it's just because I didn't know them before we met during evaluation, and it's kind of, you just could feel it already. You just knew everything was going to work out.
Lance, as I said, reading your story and learning about you all, there was just so many miraculous things. In 2017, you had a kidney transplant. That had not worked out. And then here you were facing a second transplant with your wife also being a donor at the same time. I can hear from her, you're people of faith. I imagine that's what you were leaning on because this was a second go around and your wife was involved this time.
Absolutely. I'm not real sure how common it is to get 2 kidney transplants in a lifetime, but yeah, at first I was very skeptical. I wasn't sure if it was ever going to happen. So we just relied on our faith to get us through this because it was, before we had met Tia and Rodney, it was up in the air. We didn't know how it was going to turn out. And fortunately it did.
You said something so beautiful about Susan. You said, I guess you could say we've skipped the friendship and we're family now.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, yes. We've gone right to family. Like, literally, a piece of her body is with my husband, you know? And she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to give up a piece of herself so that my husband could have a second chance at life.
Interesting you say that because as I understand, Rodney, you've become a more emotional person. And Tia thinks that's because Susan's kidney is in you that you become more emotional.
Yeah, every time I hear the story, I cry, you know. But
We joke about it.
I've never been that kind of person.
Listen, I'm blessed to know you now. Didn't know you before, but I'll tell you, I'm reading the story and I see you tearing up over there, and I'm like, this is a person who cries more than me. And I didn't think anybody cried more than me, so it was Susan's fault.
Yes.
Susan, as I said, this feels like a miracle. People love to hear, especially around the holidays, these kinds of stories. When you've shared it with folks over the year, over this time, is it just still, even for you, hard to believe?
It's remarkable, and Tia and I have a lot of opportunities to speak on it. And one of the things that we really like to highlight is, for us, it ended in a kidney transplant. But that's not really what the story is about. The story is about people being human and kind and connecting. And the temperature of our society today is so up and down. It was just an opportunity to love thy neighbor, right? And so we feel very convicted in telling it.
Right. You know, and I'll be very transparent here. One of the other wonderful things, you talk about the times that we're in, obviously, African-American couple, a couple who happens to be white. We talk about race, and we should, and be honest about it, but at the end of the day, it's blood. It's human. This is humankind. That's right. You know, and it's not lost on me, the dynamic here, and I would be disingenuous not to bring that up, but what is that? Did you guys hear that? What is that? Do you hear that, Rodney?
Dude.
Is that a sleigh bell?
Yes.
Okay, I love that, and I love the bond that you have because it is a bond about kindness and love and humanity, and we have a special gift that we are so happy to share with you, thanks to our friends, because y'all are friends, I have friends too. Thanks to our friends at Vacasa, both of your families will get a $3,000 vacation at the destination of your choice. Vacasa offers dream vacation rentals with more than 35,000 homes across the United States, Canada, Mexico, Belize, Costa Rica, you name it. They have a beautiful place. You can build new holiday traditions at a cozy cabin. Or how about, Lance, a beach house? Or Rodney, what about a mountain home with a view? It's all
Thank you
up
so
for
much.
you. Are you looking forward to a getaway?
Yes, thank
Oh, yes, Susan, so fun. Well, I look forward to your vacation pictures. I think you, both of you, as couples, as people, represent something we all need. and that's a person in your corner that is there for you. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Enjoy your vacations.